Hi, Kikai, where is your home? Where is your ID? Do you only speak English? Where do you live? What street do you live? On? I mean, these are some of the questions that are being posed by Operation Dudula supporters, really vigilantes, who've been protesting outside Kalafong Hospital in Atteridgeville in Tshwane for the last 3 weeks. But not only are they preventing patients who may need urgent care from accessing the hospital, they're also threatening staff. And despite a court interdict preventing them from doing so, they're still there. And from all reports we have received, it seems the police are just watching. The CEO at Kalafong Provincial Hospital is Dr. Silo Majila, and he joins us now on the line. Dr. Majila, thank you so much for your time. Just give perhaps an update on the latest at the hospital or outside your premises at the moment. Are there still people there outside your facility preventing patients and staff from entering?
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to the listeners. I can indicate that as of this morning, because I just received the report now from the hospital, it's just that there's a free flow of movement into the hospital. But let me just add that even yesterday, at the beginning of the day, that was the case. And then later on, the group then came through again, I think around 9 o'clock. So we're just watching the space. We have alerted the police, and we hope that the group will respect the court interdict.
Right, so they're not there right now, but there's no indication they won't return later.
Yes.
How did this start? It's been going on for about 3 weeks, I understand.
Yeah, so my understanding is that the group approached the hospital, obviously just not giving us a choice. On the 4th of August, I was on leave, and they approached the hospital to just indicate to them who they are. Their names are known, I think, the leaders, and that they are a group, Operation Dudula, and they were requesting the hospital or demanding that the hospital remove illegal foreign nationals from the hospital. And there was a brief meeting where my colleagues indicated that that would not be possible. And then they informed the hospital that then they will then picket or protest outside the gate of the hospital. But then management then involved the police, and there was an understanding between the group and the police that will be a peaceful protest. But then obviously the group does not have any permission to protest or picket in front of the hospital. Then they stopped. I think they came one day and they stopped. And from the 15th, I think that's when they then came through and started actively impeding access to. And those questions that you just mentioned, I understand those are the reports that we are getting. We have resorted not to engage them because we are also fearful because this kind of protest can take any form. So that's why we then went on to seek a court interdict.
Dr. Majila, I understand that the access is not only for the patients, but they're also interfering with staff. They don't want foreign nationals who work at the hospitals to enter. Is that also correct?
So we had to advise our staff to have carry their ID cards at all times because they indiscriminately ask those questions. And as you know, within our staff as well, we would have our colleagues who come from other countries. So we are very uncomfortable with that as well. So we had to request the staff to always carry their ID cards at all times. So as you would understand, our staff would not then have free movement even during the day. I would imagine that if someone wants to go buy food just across the street, they cannot do that anymore because then this group is just lurking outside the hospital.
How does something like I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, but it's extraordinary to me. How does something like that impact the running of a hospital?
So we have tried, despite all the uneasiness, to just try and go on with our work. But the problem is that Patients have been returned, those questions are being asked, and just generally we are not easy. We have always been involved in the police, and they indicated that they can only enforce the law if they have a court interdict. So now we know that we have secured the court interdict, and we shall then see if ever the group is not going to come back again. Because yesterday they came through, we called the police, they then had a conversation with them, but then the police left and they were on the other side of the street. So there's a street. So they just left them there. And we then had to call the station commander again to say, but the group is still hanging around the hospital.
Hold on.
So we hope that this morning, things are not going to pan out that way.
Was it the station commander of the Attridgeville police station?
Yeah, so we engaged with him.
So you're telling me the station commander of the Attridgeville hospital says unless there's a court order, it's okay for any group of people to come and harass not only staff of the hospital, but patients who may be in need of critical care, to force them to identify themselves, to ask, that's okay, they will let that happen if there's no court order. Is that what the station commander told you?
So they indicated that they see the group as they see the action as peaceful. That's when we called them, and that if we really want them to take action, we will have to secure a court interdict, and that we have done. So the court interdict is there, and you will see that the respondents are also amongst the respondents. The police, I think they are the fifth respondent to the judge directs them to comply with their constitutional
obligation
mandate. Yeah.
That's an extraordinary development, that you can't simply call the police and get something like this dealt with immediately. Let me ask you another question, Dr. Matjila. One of the reasons that this group is there is that they say that there's undue pressure on a facility like yours because of the number of foreign nationals who access that hospital. I don't have any data, but I'm curious about your perception, perhaps, and I don't know if you've got the figures, but how much do foreign nationals impact in terms of the pressure brought on your hospital?
Look, I think the pressure, this issue, Bongani, is well known, that we have a whole lot of foreign nationals, whether documented or undocumented, utilizing our facilities, and the system is overburdened. Not only because of that, I think there's just a whole lot of complex. It's a complex situation, because I think some of the things they say that we've got long queues and all that, which is true. The other problems that we have is that people don't adhere to the referral pathways. Like, for instance, if somebody has to go to the clinic, they would prefer to come to the hospital instead of starting at a local clinic.
Yeah.
That is also what puts pressure on the hospital. So we've become a hospital-centric over time, I think, as a country. And maybe we should not miss the opportunity to also have a discussion around those issues as well, because our patients are always complaining that our hospitals, there are long queues and all that. And it's not easy to have discussions with them, but this is some of the things that we should not miss the opportunity to have a discussion on.
Dr. Silo Matjila, appreciate your time. The CEO at Kalafong Provincial Hospital in Pretoria. Multiplicity of factors contribute to why there might be long queues at any public facility. But the idea that your complexion determines whether you can come into a hospital or not. And this by South Africans, preventing other South Africans from doing their work and from patients receiving critical care is extraordinary to me. And the police won't do anything because there's no court interdict. Am I mad? Am I mad to react this way?
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.